One of David Foster Wallace's signature contributions to literature is the creation of the greatest persona in the history of college radio. Madame Psychosis, a.k.a. P-Goat, occupier of the midnight hour, host of 60 Minutes, more or less, broadcasting via WYYY from the MIT campus. Inspired by DFW's Infinite Jest, we created our own signature intersection of New England to honor books that bite. This pale ale is loaded with 5 pounds of hops per barrel, and much like the veil that hides Madame Psychosis's beauty, we concealed our aesthetic behind the deep haze. When describing flavor, DFW's narrator does it best. Madame Psychosis ensues chatty openings and contextual filler. Her hour is compact and no nonsense. Would it be too much to call this pale ale P-Boat? From the basement of the Hopheads Guide to the Galaxy World Headquarters located in northern Colorado, the Hopheads Guide podcast presents
Beer Shorts.
Hey there, Hopheads and Beer Geeks. Welcome to another episode of Beer Shorts, brought to you by Beerds by Nick. We have a medal-winning edition version of Beer Shorts.
Nice.
Brought to you by Fiction Beer Company.
Brought to you by the Great American Beer Festival.
Brought to you by Cans.
Cans. It's what's for dinner.
And we're going to bring you as many brought to you bys as we possibly can to see if we can get some sponsorships on this show. Because we all know that you don't want to hear about beer. You want to hear commercials.
Oh, yeah. And we're trying to load up our show with as many commercials as we can.
As possible. The more commercials, the better. This one is a beer that I am very proud to have on our show. Not only because it is a medal-winning beer, but it was the only medal-winning beer from Colorado that won in the Hazy New England style category that was new to Great American Beer Festival this year.
It is cool, but it was a little disappointing. We thought, like, I don't know, personally wise, and I'm not a brewer, but I thought Colorado had a shoe-in on at least a couple. Like, not saying golds. I'm saying I thought some different breweries should have been represented well, and I'm not talking about Wildworks. I'm talking about like other different breweries out there that I thought should have actually had.
So you're one of the conspiracy theorists that feel like that it was an anti-Colorado judging board.
Or I think those guys don't know what a juicy IPA actually is, and I want to try the other ones to say, oh, yep. Yeah, you guys were totally wrong. You don't know how to score that group. Yeah, just go back to your little caves, you Cicerone bastards.
Or BJCP.
Whatever.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Whatever group of... whatever house you guys live in together, you stupid trolls.
Nonetheless, man, we talked about this on our pre-GABF show, and I feel like that there were, we have a lot of pride in our beers, but there's a lot of stiff competition out there when it comes to the hazy categories.
And it was the one that had the most entries. So
yes.
It was the biggest one. I felt like when I actually got to taste the one that Wildworks put in, because they changed up their Juicy Bits recipe for it, I thought they put in a bad one. I was like, wait a minute, guys, what? You're putting this one? This is going to, and I taste it, I'm like, wait, dude, you guys have been solid the last, 4 or 5 beers. They've been tasting the same.
Yeah.
Why change it? So, I was a little upset about it, but hey, Fiction makes really great beer. I love their beer. You got me their barrel-aged barley wine sitting right here.
Yes.
I don't know when I'll crack it open, but I am totally looking forward to that. and the beers I've had from Fiction, and I'm glad they won a bronze medal. But I just thought we would, and it also sounds like what the hazy state is Illinois.
That seems to have been the consensus, was that some of the best beers in the hazy category seem to be weighted strongly towards Illinois. But let's not take anything away from what Fiction has accomplished here.
I'm clapping to him. Congratulations, guys.
This only says so much more about this beer, because the fact that, a lot of the breweries that we thought were going to win in this category didn't. So that tells me that the competition that is out there in the nation, the beers that are being made out there in the nation, are only that much better. And so maybe some of the breweries in this area need to step up their game. Maybe they're, the confidence that they have in their beers is, a little premature.
Well, and also the ones that we thought would score big. Wiley did, medal, but I thought Wild would at least get a medal in something. They went over. So
right,
I think Cerebral did the same thing. I think, and also
Cerebral did not. Yeah,
Outer Range. So
this is it. This is the beer that won from our state, and we have to be proud of it. And there's good reason to be proud of it. It's a delicious beer in this category. So this beer won in the juicy or hazy pale ale category.
Yep.
It was a bronze medal winner. And bottom line is, what you have to look at with a Great American Beer Festival winner is, did it meet the criteria? And you're talking about a brand new category that the judges hadn't tasted that category before, based on certain guidelines. And so did they make this true to the style of the guidelines? And we're going to go through kind of our own opinions of this beer.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, I feel like, based on what I'm seeing here, this beer is on point to what the style guidelines are.
Okay.
And that's just coming from a judge's personality.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so we're talking about Madame Psychosis, which is a New England style pale ale that was new to the juicy or hazy pale ale category. And was the bronze medal winner at Great American Beer Festival. So Jake and I have been doing beer shorts for the last year or so, but we decided that we are going to change up how we recommend the beers a little bit.
Yeah.
In the past, it's been, would you trade this beer with your best beer buddy?
Yeah. You like it, you don't like it, trade it, don't trade it. All right, we're out.
Yeah. But we've kind of decided to go a different direction and create our own unique scoring guideline, which is based off of something that I think Fiction would appreciate, because it's based off one of my favorite books, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and that's basing it off of the number 42. So number 42 would be the elite. That would be the best beer that we've ever had on this show.
Hophead's Guide approved.
Hophead's Guide approved. So basing it off of number 42 is kind of how we're going to start rating our beer shorts. And this beer particularly, I'm excited to make that one of our first to judge off of this, because it's Fiction and their beers are all based off of literature. As you heard from our introduction, the name of this beer is based off of a book, and has a lot of backstory to just the name of the beer.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about the beer itself. So when you poured this beer, what was your first impression of it?
My first impression, it was a little lighter by appearance than most juicy or hazy IPAs that I have. Well, it's a pale ale, so I had to take that into consideration. That's probably a little bit lighter on that side, but it was hazy. So I was looking at it as more of almost like pineapple juice color than an actual orange juice color, where you get more of the IPA haziness from. But offhand, like aroma, I didn't even have to put up to my nose. I could smell it just as I was pouring it out. So it had a very sweet smelling aroma to me. I don't know, what did you think of it as you did the first pour of it? So
my first impression of it was very similar to yours. Very light straw color, little to no head, no carbonation, great cloudy color. But I'm with you. I got a strong aroma. My strong aroma, however, came from my familiarity with my favorite hop, which is Idaho 7, which this beer is packed full of. And to me, I got a nice kind of mix of piney aroma with a little bit of citrus, but I didn't get a lot of the sweetness, which was curious to me because when I had this beer on tap at the brewery, it had a lot more sweetness to it off the tap. So I'm wondering if maybe in the can some of that sweetness hasn't subsided.
The carbonation
a little higher carbonation, yeah. There was definitely a lot more carbonation when I had it off the tap. So I think maybe some of that aroma had come through. Now, I had the same thought as you when I first poured it, that the color was a little light. Mm-hmm. The way I described it was a pale straw color. However, now that I'm looking at the descriptor for this style of beer, it calls for exactly a straw color to a deep gold color.
Oh, okay.
So in that juicy pale ale category, this is kind of the color that they're targeting. So in my like preconceived notion of what I'm used to seeing in this category of a little bit heavier malt build that creates a little bit more sweetness and a little bit more of a deeper gold color, I had that in my head already of like, okay, well, this is a little lighter than what I would expect, but based on the descriptor for this category, it's dead on.
Okay.
So just off of that, like, first impression, that's what I saw. And immediately I was like, well, no, that's not what I expected. And I had already kind of like taken a couple points off of that. But again, going back and looking at the actual descriptor,
they're going by style.
it's pretty dead on.
See, which I am thinking that they should take color off the BJC, because that is just starting segregation, and that's a slippery slope to start going.
It's
down.
Racist.
It is pretty much racist. What if it came out really, really dark? Are you supposed to judge it differently?
You are.
Are you supposed to sit them at a different part of the table?
You have to.
In the back?
It's the way it is. It's just the way it is. And so, and with cloudiness, it's so low to very high to. This is where it gets interesting to me in the descriptor. Low to very high degree of cloudiness. So you have this pretty broad descriptor of what you can expect from a juicier hazy.
What is the cloudiness doing? A triple Lindy?
So you can expect some hops, some protein, and this we see. I mean, to me, this is like a medium degree of cloudiness.
Yeah.
And
I put the descriptors like pineapple juice. I try to base it off a different, because most people go, oh man, it looks like a glass of juice. So I try to go with the best descriptor I have. Mine was like, I looked at it, I was like, oh, that looks like pineapple juice, without little chunks in it, without pulp in it. But I was like, yeah, that's pineapple juice. As I was saying, that's probably going to taste a little lighter, which for me, the flavor and mouthfeel was that. It came off heavy, but lightened up really quick and got bitterness towards the end. So,
like, immediately you felt like a heavy mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. And I kind of, my first impression of it was that it was delicate because there wasn't a whole lot of astringency from overcarbonation.
Okay.
But my perception of it was delicate, but immediately drying. So to me, it wasn't like a full-bodied mouthfeel, but it immediately dried my palate. Like right off the bat, my palate went bone dry. And that was something that kind of caught me off guard with it because, again, going back to the sweetness that I was expecting from this style, it threw me off guard a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So, but going back to
The rules.
and I mean, so to me, I feel like we have to go for this particular beer. We have to go back to the rules,
Okay.
only to compare it because this is the first time this beer has ever been judged based on
On the
on
rules.
some guidelines. And if you look at what they're going for body, medium to low to medium high. So again, this broad range of a description,
medium to low to medium high,
yes,
are all body feel,
right? Perceived silky to or full mouthfeel,
okay,
may contribute to overall flavor profile. So I'm just going to leave it at that for now.
Okay.
I'm not going to go back to this. Here's what I'm saying about this new category with the hazy IPA category is it's still so broad.
So broad that you can't
because they don't really understand it.
Yeah.
So from a judge's perspective, it leaves a lot to personal kind of perception and personal preference of, well, you know what? I enjoyed the fact that it was slightly delicate but drying or a little bit heavy, however you perceived it.
Yeah, but it
Depends
still
on how you enjoyed it.
It still went into the judges' criteria because I thought it was heavy. You were more silky, but it was still low to medium or medium to high.
I felt like it was. I felt like it was delicate. Yes. But,
oh yeah. But
to
we
me,
both had it.
mouthfeel-
But if we were both separate judges and we're like, oh, that's heavy, I was still all right because it was medium to heavy, and you're like, oh, that's a little silky. Oh, that's a little low to medium. It's still in the range.
It's still in the range. Yeah. Yeah.
So overall impression, I thought it was a good beer. The desirability for me, if I was out and about and this was on tap somewhere, if it's just like a tap house or a beer bar, I would order another one.
Right.
I would want to try it again. For IPAs like this, I always want to try them at different times just to see how they handle up. If it was at a restaurant, it would always have to depend what I was eating. If I was eating like sushi or barbecue, I don't know why, but when I drink this, I was like starting to crave sushi. And I usually never crave sushi. But I was like, man, I kind of want some like wasabi sauce or something like
something spicy to cut it up
fishy
with a little bit.
spicy.
Yeah.
So, and that's what usually barbecue comes in because you could also always had their spicier barbecue sauces to whatever sandwich you're eating or whatever kind of barbecue you're eating. So that's where it kind of threw me off. Like once I tasted it, I don't know, it was like, this would go really well with like a certain kind of roll. And so I was like, oh man, now I'm like, man, I kind of want to go eat sushi.
Right.
What about you? Is this a beer you're going to go after again? If it's at the restaurant, like a random bar you go to or a random restaurant, are you ordering it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I really enjoy this beer. It's not something that that preconceived notion of what I anticipated a pale ale to be or what I would enjoy it to be kind of got thrown out the window when I tried this beer because, all right, maybe I'm a little biased because now I've confirmed that there's Idaho 7 in it.
Yeah.
The first time I tried it, I was like, a little bit of pine, a little bit of citrus. Maybe there's some Idaho 7 there. And then after I learned that there was actually those hops in there, then I kind of turned my bias one direction. But to me, this is a great, light, hazy pale ale that you can throw back. It's 6.5%.
Yeah.
I mean, it sits in that category of like almost sessionable for me.
Yeah.
And I enjoy
right on
it.
that edge.
Yeah. Now, one of the ways that we used to judge our beer battles when we basically we took the same scorecard that we used to use for the beer battles.
Yep.
And we've adapted that now for the beer shorts. There were two big categories in there that weighed pretty heavily.
Yeah.
One of those was, would you send it / trade it and send it to your best beer friend? And the second one was originality. Now, originality is one that's a little broad because it wasn't just on the originality of the recipe of the beer or the idea of the beer, but also the packaging the beer comes in.
Naming of the beer, the ideas behind it. You're not slapping hazy IPA.
Exactly.
Hazy pale ale.
Yeah.
So
how'd you weigh it?
For me, on the originality round, I actually went pretty high. So when we actually dove into finding out more of the background of why they named it, what they named it, so I started bringing up the Wikipedia page for the Infinite Geist and reading more on it. And then I'm like, man, this actually sounds like an interesting book. And so now I'm going through like, okay, stupid beer. Now it makes me want to read a book. So I was like, that's kind of original. Even though fiction is, fiction brewing, nonfiction fiction, they base their stuff, all about different stories that are out there. But it makes you want to think, and you look up stuff like this, and I'm like, man, I kind of want to get that book and read it and see what it's all about to see if it compares to the beer. Now you've had people say, oh, hey, we've had a spaghetti goza. You get the beer, you compare it to spaghetti or a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
But this is actually, you want to compare a book to the actual beer to kind of see if the book has the same trademarks of what they're going for the beer. Yeah. So
especially with the poetic description that they put on the side of the can.
And they do really well. Like the art that's on the can, it's not like loosely drawn, like stick figure person with a shirt on. They actually went for what they were coming from the images of the actual story.
Of the description,
Yeah. So I actually did there really well. So I actually went really high on originality. Desirability, I went a little bit lower, and then overall score, I scored it a 37.
That's actually a really good score.
Yeah.
You're talking about a beer that, honestly, based on the way you were talking earlier, I didn't expect you to score it that high. So I'm guessing that the desirability weighed pretty heavy.
The desirability, I only had a notch with this beer, and I've never had a really beer ever. I've never really drank a beer and said, oh, I want to go eat sushi.
Right.
I've never had a pale ale do that to me. I've had a pale ale going, oh, this would do well with this kind of barbecue or these hot wings or something else like that. Or even when we, talked about holidays, was like turkey, green chili. But this one, I was like, man, I really, really want to try it with sushi. So the desirability kind of weighed higher on there was, well, would it actually really taste well with sushi? So now I really want to know.
So the desire to try another one kind of gave it boost.
It gave it a little boost. And then the originality was like anybody, like if they just named it like whatever pale ale, I don't know if I would get it, but they kind of made me intrigued about the actual literature that they based it off of to actually see if that literature went with the actual description of the beer they were trying to make.
Right.
Like, did they really say, hey, I want to make a beer based off this book? Or did they make the beer and go, oh, you know what this book really goes well with? This beer really goes well with this book. This is what we want to go for.
Yeah. So one thing I will add to this scoring process is we don't have defined weights on how you score it.
Yeah.
So if you hate the aroma, but you love the fact that they're very original, you can score the,
I can give all 42 points to the originality if you want to.
all 42 points to originality if you really want to. So that's what I love about this scoring process is we weigh it based on how we see it at the time and how we want to define it. And I love the fact that because like when you're talking about the aroma and the flavor and the actual profile of the beer, listening to you, I was like, all right, we're looking at like a mid-20s beer.
Yeah.
But because you enjoyed the fact of that it wanted you to come back and try another one.
Yeah.
And the fact that you love the originality of the packaging locked you in at a higher score.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I'm surprised because I brought this beer to 38.
Okay.
And a lot of my personal preferences was based on the flavor, the aroma, the appearance of the beer. And then it brought it over the top because of the packaging, the fact that the label's very original, the fact that they brought this very well created story into the packaging, and it really personalizes it. It makes you feel like you're part of the process of why they decided to name this beer what they named it. Even though I've never read the book, I'm like, oh, okay, well now I feel like I need to go out and seek this book out.
Yeah.
So I like this new scoring process.
Yeah. Yeah, because
I'm excited for it.
It started pretty low, and I'm like, oh, Matt's going to probably be upset that it's a bronze medal. But then I started, like, when we started talking about the actual label, and I started trying to, it's, you said, oh, it might be based off this. So I went to the Wikipedia page and started reading just the first couple sentences of the Wikipedia page. It made me more interested in the book. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just went just to try to get some information about why they named it the beer, but now I'm reading about information about the book. Now I'm intrigued about the book. Now Stupid Beer wants me to read a book. And I don't read books, but now I'm interested in reading this book that, like, I was like, man, okay, that is original,
Yeah.
I never went to a beer and went, oh, hey, IPA. Now I want to go read, War and Peace,
Yeah.
So I think they do a really good job, and it just makes me more intrigued of, like, did somebody drink the beer and go, this is this book?
Right.
Or,
Yeah.
did they go, you know what, we want to, you guys read this book. We're thinking about doing this hazy IPA with these hops to kind of, and who thinks it'll work? So
Right.
it's just kind of one of those things that I would love to have them and talk to them and be like, where the fuck do you guys come up with this? Like, I could see when somebody goes, I want to make a beer that tastes like spaghetti, but you're like, I want a beer that tastes like it. Wait, is it fun? Is it supposed to taste funny because it's a clown, or taste like crap because he's scary? Like, so.
Well, again, I think this new scoring process is going to work out really great, and this is a great start for the process because this kind of sets the bar up pretty high. 30, 38, and a 37 on a 42-point scale. And, I mean, the bottom line is this is a bronze medal winning beer and first time ever in this category, and is from right here in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
And that, to me, is what makes this beer the beer that it is. And the fact that you just got to try it. If you have a beer trading buddy that's in Colorado, get him to send you Madame Psychosis and try the bronze medal winning beer from Colorado that won in the New England in the hazy and juicy pale ale category. Not to mention that there were no New England breweries that won in this category.
Oh, yeah.
Try this beer. I think you need to try the beer, and I think you need to see what Fiction Brewing is doing. Not only because I'm proud that this is the one that we have
the one beer,
the one beer that we have from Colorado to show that we actually do know what we're doing down here in Colorado. But nonetheless, make sure that you check out our great sponsor, Beerds by Nick, and get some beard oil for that beard. We need a goat acronym for Beerds. Best beard of all time. The Boboat.
The Boboat. Best beard oil of all time.
Ooh. That would be Bowoat.
Bowoat. Maybe you could name a beard oil after us called Bowoat.
Yeah, let's not have that happen. Check out Beards by Nick. Get your beard oil. Get your beard grooming products. And if you have a friend in Colorado that has some access to Fiction Beer Company, have them send you some Madame Psychosis.